Hi, my name is Tammy, and welcome to College Credit Coach, where we're striving to help kids of any age earn college credits before ever taking a college course. And today I'm here with my third child, Jonathan, and we're going to talk about the American Government CLEP test. Now, I previously said on my channel here that I highly suggest you take the U.S. History CLEP test first and then followed up by the American Government CLEP test. And that's what Jonathan's done. And my older two children also did this. And so now Jonathan took his American Government CLEP test, and we just want to talk a little bit about the different tips and techniques and suggestions that you would have. I know he came out of the American Government CLEP test all excited and said, "Oh, Mom, I can't wait for you to interview me. I've got lots to tell your viewers about what to study and what not to study and different tips." So let's go ahead and get started, okay? So first question, can you tell us a little bit about how you prepared for the American Government CLEP test?
So how we prepared is I read the U.S. History Landmark Baptist Publishers American Government book.
Yep.
And it was really pretty good. I loved how many verses and how it really kept pointing back to how biblical government looks like, and really conservative view of government. So it was really good.
So you did all the questions at the end of the chapter, no vocabulary, and then what about essays?
No essays.
So that's just my preference and my way of homeschooling. I don't make the kids do the essays.
I hate writing, so I'll be honest. So when I can get out of writing vocabs, I do. So on government, I did not do any vocabulary. History, I did. I'm kind of a person who likes history and can remember history facts really well. It's not really studying for me. Government was a little more work, but history I did do vocab, just because I'd always done vocab, much to my dislike, and we really learned that it was unnecessary. The last two modules of history, I just stopped doing it. And I did just fine on that. So,
and I know there are a lot of different textbooks out there that you could use for U.S. history or American Government CLEP tests. I've seen them listed in like different Facebook groups that I'm part of. So it really is your preference. I think anything would be good enough to prepare you for the CLEP test, but this has just been our preferences. And I know one thing that Jonathan in particular loved about this textbook was all the Bible verses in it. You basically said what? You felt like you were...
I felt like it could be a Bible study, used to Bible study on biblical leadership.
Okay.
It was very good. It was probably a little less government orientated than most other textbooks. But I got the information I needed from from different little places. So I really didn't need something that was super comprehensive. Plus, I'd done history already. So
sure, I will leave a link to the book in the description box down below if you're interested in that. So besides the textbook, then you also did Khan Academy.
Yep. And
what did you do in Khan Academy? Do you remember?
I did the readings, the videos, and the little quizzes at the end of each page of videos and at the end of the units. And that was good for me to do. Khan Academy has some good ways of for me to remember things, and especially in government. Some things of him, in his town. He drew a picture one time of a playground in school, and he was talking about different political things. So it helps me with his drawings that he does remember it more. I'm a very picture-orientated person.
Okay. And for my second child, Emily, when she did her American Government CLEP preparation, she went and did the, it was called American Government and Politics videos by Crash Course on YouTube. When I pulled those up for Jonathan, he really preferred the Khan Academy style, and so that was fine. Just different learning styles, different preferences.
Yep. Crash Course, I feel, is more of a more kid-orientated, and I don't trust what they're going to say as much.
Okay.
And then Khan Academy, and he'll draw pictures, and that's really my favorite thing.
And you did do, it's worth saying,
I did do the readings.
You did do the readings. Sometimes we do the readings, sometimes we don't. But you were feeling like you were learning a lot and you enjoyed it, so you did do the readings.
I didn't really enjoy it, but I was learning a lot, yeah.
You didn't really enjoy it, but you were learning a lot. I like that. Okay, so textbook, Khan Academy, and then you did Modern States. What did you do with Modern States?
Modern States, I just did the videos, and I skipped all the readings, and I just did the videos and the quizzes.
Okay.
And it's good. And I did the little mini test at the end.
Okay. If you're wondering what Modern States is, I'll have a video on my YouTube channel here explaining. But it's a platform that you can go and you can log in for free and do their coursework, videos, readings, that kind of thing. And then once you're finished, you can submit your coursework to them just by a little link, and then they will send you a coupon voucher to take the CLEP test at no charge. And they'll also then reimburse you for the administrative fee of taking the CLEP test. So it's a great program. You get 8 of those tests free. Sometimes we've gone beyond. I mean, all my kids have done their 8 tests, but they will also, after their 8 tests are completed, continue to do the Modern States coursework just in preparation.
I did 4 tests, and including government, before I was 13. So now I'm 13. So now I can start doing the voucher program, but
With Modern States.
With Modern States.
Okay.
And do they only work for CLEPs and DSST?
They only work for CLEP tests. Modern States only works for CLEP. DSST is a separate, it just is not part of their program. So, yep. Okay, so then you also did the REA study guide and Peterson's.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about the REA study guide and Peterson's. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about practice tests, okay? Okay, can you tell us a few details about the American Government CLEP test?
Okay, before we move on.
Okay.
One more thing.
Yep.
Is Mometrics.
Okay, Mometrics.
I, for history, loved Mometrics. It was a 4-hour video, and I watched it twice. Mom took screenshots, and I'd fill in the marker board with her.
And this is on YouTube. So,
on YouTube,
yeah.
yes.
So he watched the YouTube video. I would take screenshots, print them out, and then he would fill in his coursework or fill in the answers.
Yep.
Okay.
And she would have them up on the marker board, or like half of the thing written, and then she would write in, and I just write it in with her, kind of like taking notes for me,
Yep.
But an easier version. And I really like the lady on the history ones. The government ones are basically a beginner version. So before you do first day of history, as whatever semester you're starting.
You mean American Government first?
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay.
Government. I would just watch the video. It's like 2 hours long or an hour or whatever, and just say that's history for the day. It's just so basic. I took it at the end thinking, oh, it's going to be the same as last time, so in depth, and it's going to be a great review.
Yeah.
It was so basic that it actually got me confused, because I didn't know, okay, so when did that happen? And it got really confusing. So do that as the first day of government.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Okay, so back to, why don't you tell us a little bit about the details and your thoughts about the actual test itself?
The actual test itself was very fast-paced. I've only done 2 CLEPs, history and now government, and history has some more time. Government was actually the first one I did where it's 100 questions in 90 minutes. So I had kind of figured out before time I had like 55 seconds per question, and I was doing about a minute per question all the way up. I was at 80 minutes, so 10 minutes left, and 80 questions. And I was literally neck and neck all along. But the crazy thing was, to stay neck and neck, generally I can easily do a minute a question. But to stay neck and neck, I felt like I was so bogged down. Time was a big thing. In the end, I got those 20 questions done at the end, done in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
watch your time. Good time management throughout.
The end really went fast. So I had 5 minutes to quickly skim through the things I had marked. And,
okay.
Yeah.
And one thing we learned on the practice test, that there were going to be some graphs. Mm-hmm. And were there graphs on your actual test?
They were.
What was our idea of how to handle those graphs during this test? A battle plan.
Just hit one of the options, option A, and then on.
So-
I've learned actually on the practice test, the Peterson test, it seems like if you don't know it, seems like generally, unless you can deductive reasoning it, generally if you have no clue, B generally seems to be the best.
B seems to be the best option.
The best option on Peterson.
So our thought about how to approach those questions were to read the graph questions really carefully and well, read the answers. If you didn't know, guess, and then move on, instead of spending a lot of time and getting bogged down in those graph questions. There was only 2 questions, or was there 4?
There was
About
one graph with 2 questions.
Okay, so
Back
do it
to
and move
back,
on.
it was like
Okay.
question 50 and question 51. I would say I spent maybe a minute on each, and that was too much.
Okay.
So I wouldn't even look at what it is. If you just see it's a graph, just click B, A, whatever you want, and go on to the next
Okay.
one.
Then some other things that you knew were going to be on there were the Supreme Court judicial cases. Any thoughts about those?
Yes. I think it was Gideon versus Wainwright and McCulloch versus Maryland
Yep.
that I got confused with. And that was really hard because they kind of are similar-ish, and I hadn't really studied. I knew each one a long time ago when I started government, but it was a long time since I'd reviewed them or
Sure.
looked at them. And so I started forgetting the details on the test, and then I started getting them confused with the other one, and at the end I just would kind of like what I should have done with the graphs. I'd just click one and go on if it was
Okay.
anything
And then you mentioned
related
there
to
was
that.
Gibson versus Ogden and Marbury versus Madison.
Marbury versus Madison is like the dumb one that they always put on there for no reason
Okay.
because it's not. It's so basic. You just have to know it because you know it.
Okay.
It's, but Gibson versus Ogden was on there, and you had to know a little bit about that.
Okay.
And there was a lot more that they asked on about Gibson versus Ogden that I had ever learned.
Okay.
So definitely go into that more of the judicial side of who did what there, and that would
Okay.
be one to really dive deep into.
Okay. And then some of the other things you mentioned, amendments. Know what they are and what they do, right?
Mhm. Yep. 6th and up to 9th of the Bill of Rights were really hard for me.
Okay.
You know the first couple, but after that it was really hard. And then higher up to the 20s and up of the amendments, it was difficult for me, and especially the ones keeping track of the numbers. I knew most of them,
But which one's which, huh?
Right, was it number 5 or number 6?
Okay. Okay. And then you also mentioned that you would want to know the acts and what they do.
Yep, there was a lot of acts about voting rights, and there was a lot of stuff about voting rights that I didn't really know well, and so I definitely should have gone deeper into those subjects.
Okay. And then just talk to us briefly now about the practice tests that you took and how did they really reflect the actual CLEP test that you took.
The practice tests.
So you did 2 REA.
Yep, 2 REA.
These are the
and,
REA CLEP practice
Yep,
tests.
and 3 Petersons.
And then 3 Petersons. And when we say Petersons, it's petersons.com. And that is a subscription that you would have to buy, a monthly subscription.
And generally just do it for a month and just do Petersons quick at the end.
Yep.
And we'll do them a couple times. Generally, we don't find that you memorize the questions too much. The one thing is I also did the modern states test.
Okay, yep.
That at the end, it's just like 100 questions.
And I've said this lots of times before on this channel, but our general rule is if you are taking a Peterson's or an REA CLEP test and scoring at least a 60% or higher on 2 or more of your tests, then usually that reflects that you're ready to take the actual CLEP test and be able to pass it. Okay?
Yep, and the scoring system for the CLEPs is really confusing between the score and the percentage. It starts at 50 and it goes up. So it's you could get a 60%, I think, and it would be How does that work? Does it go up, or it either rounds up or down, or something
And
like that?
each, I have another video on this YouTube channel too, but each college and university is able to select what score you must have on your CLEP test to be able to get credit at their institution. So you can do the research there with that too. Okay, so wrapping up, is there anything that you would like to give as advice to future test takers?
Watch the time.
Okay,
it
watch the
was
time.
so crazy, and with the REA tests, which are times, I felt like I had it down. I'd end with like 30 minutes left, and I was like, whoa, I just did, 100 question test in like an hour. And so for some reason on the test, I think I was tired. So definitely go to bed really early and just lay in bed as long as you can.
And you also mentioned how to amend the U.S. Constitution was something you want to study.
Yes, I felt like I knew it, and I felt like I had it inside and out. And then they were asking me questions, and I was just like, I have no clue.
Okay, and then you talked about judicial review and judicial activism.
Judicial activism was on there, and that was the thing that I was studying like the day before, just trying to figure out. But yes, it was on there, and I think I got that one right. So
okay.
It was good.
So that about sums it up. We would love to have you comment down below and tell us if you've taken the American Government CLEP test, what kind of things you did to prepare for it, what kind of recommendations you would have, and any tips and tricks. We'd love hearing from you guys. We'd love if you would like and subscribe to our channel and tell YouTube that you would like more content like this. And thanks for watching.
And I got a 63 at the end of my test. So.
Yes, which is
I passed.
You passed, and that was all good.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
Bye.
for watching. Bye.